You don't need Docker Desktop to have a great Docker experience on Windows. Hello friends, I'm Sam, the engineering man, and today I'll be showing you how to install Docker on WSL2 all in 5 minutes. I'll take you through the whole process, including the prerequisites, WSL2 settings, helpful commands, and even how to install Docker Compose. That being said, let's go engineer stuff. Before we can fully dive in, let's cover our prerequisites. To start, I'm going to assume you have WSL2 already installed and configured, and you have a Linux distro configured. In my case, I'm going to be using Ubuntu. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure our WSL version is newer than 0.67.6, as this is the minimum version systemd needs to operate. Now we're going to start up WSL and go into our Ubuntu instance. Then we are going to cat the output of our WSL2 conf file and make sure systemd is set to true under the boot options. I already had this, but you may need to set it in your options. In case you did have to add the systemd true boot options, what you're going to want to do after is execute wsl.exe shutdown so that WSL will know to restart and will then have systemd enabled on boot up. Now when we jump back into our Ubuntu instance, we can check systemd and check the services that are running under systemd as well. By looking at systemctl status, we can see a tree output of the control groups, which will list all the processes as well as their process ID numbers as well, and we can see things are functioning in our system as expected. And if we do a systemctl list unit files by type service, we can see that no Docker service is running currently, but that's because we're about to get to the fun part and set that up. The other thing you want to quickly install is the systemd SYSV package. This is going to install systemd SYSV, and it will overwrite the sbin init initiation system with a system link to systemd instead. If we go to the Docker website, we can look under the docs, go to Ubuntu, and here we'll see the fast install script that will be the convenience helper that will allow us to quickly get Docker installed on our system and get it running. The first thing we'll do is we'll start by curling down our script, and now we can execute the get Docker script. And ironically, the whole point of this video, it'll ask if we want to wait 20 seconds because it thinks we should use Docker Desktop instead. We're not going to be fooled by that. After a 20-second sleep in the script will start to execute, and we'll execute all the things that we need to install Docker. Once the install finishes, we can see the client version of the Docker engine that's running. We can also see the server version, and we can see the engine version, the containerd version, the runc version, and the Docker init version. If we try to run docker run hello world by default, we'll see we get a permission denied error. This is because by default, Docker runs on a Unix socket which is bound to the root user. For both security and practicality, after the install, we want to set up Docker commands to be able to run as a non-root user. If we run the ID command, we can see that our user is not currently part of the Docker group. To fix this, we'll add the group add for Docker and enter our password, but that's okay because the group already exists. That's expected behavior. Then we're going to want a usermod-ag docker to add our current username to the Docker group. And then if we check the ID, we can see we're not quite in the Docker group yet. That's because we have to run new grp docker first. After we run that, now if we check the ID command again, we can see our username, in this case mine is SJR, has been added to the Docker group, which will allow us to run Docker commands as a non-root user. Now if we run docker run hello world, it'll pull the image, and we can see it'll greet us to say hello from Docker, and everything is working as expected. Besides it just being extremely useful, by setting up systemd earlier, we can now have Docker start up automatically every time WSL boots. First, we're going to enable the docker.service, and then next up here, we're going to enable the containerd service to start up on boot. If we do a systemctl status check for each of those services, we can see, thanks to the helpful green text, that it'll say enabled. And then same thing for containerd, enabled. And that's what we want to see, and will allow Docker to start up at boot for us. The final thing we'll cover quickly is installing Docker Compose. To do this, we're going to go again to the docs and the Docker website, and we're going to run the first of the two commands we need, sudo apt get update, and then sudo apt get install Docker Compose plugin. As we can see, in this case, we already have Docker installed, and now we can check the version of Docker Compose that we are running. We can see is version 2.3.6.2. We can prove Docker Compose is working by running Docker Compose up on a test project that I'll link in the description below. After that finishes, we can see it's serving our Flask app, app.py. Then if we jump back into our browser and go to localhost port 8000 and we keep refreshing the page, we can see that the application is working and incrementing as expected, and Flask is serving this up with the Redis backend, all under Docker Compose. And that is how to install Docker and Docker Compose on WSL2 all in 5 minutes. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, like and subscribe, and until next time, thank you for watching.